I'm Jaclyn Johnson.
And I'm Marina Middleton.
And this is Work Party, a podcast that's part work and part party. Work Party celebrates a new generation of women who are redefining the meaning of work on their own terms and having fun while doing it.
In this podcast, we are diving into all the areas of being a working woman: mind, body, and business. No topic is off limit.
Real talk and hot takes. Think of us as your internet work wives. This is Work Party,
the podcast.
Wait, where's the champagne?
Welcome back to Work Party. Today we are talking about the embodiment gap, that tough, quiet season when the woman you've become internally has completely outgrown the image you're presenting to the world. We're unpacking why identity alignment is your most powerful tool for leadership, not a measure of vanity. Actually, research shows that visual cues communicate microsignals about your confidence and authority in just about a tenth of a second long before you even speak. So if you're tired of being held back by imposter syndrome, you are in the right place. Joining us is Bria Johnson, Chief Style Strategist and founder of I.C.O.N.I.C With Style. Bria helps high-performing women intentionally align their presence with the leader that they are. Bria, welcome to Work Party.
Hello. So excited to be here, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're so excited to have you. So before we kick off, we'd love to learn a little bit more about you, your background, and take us back pre-I.C.O.N.I.C.
Yeah, so of course, everybody's like, where does this story begin? And it started with my Nana. She is actually the first woman who demonstrated that style is not about trends. It's about self-dignity. It's about, self-respect. And we grew up poor. So we didn't have the money to buy what was cool at the time or what was in style, but you better believe we were polished and put together. And that was really intentional. You know, my Nana taught me when you dress for where you're going, it's really about how you show up and how you want to be received. And that is really the foundation and was instilled in me before I.C.O.N.I.C, but also what inspired I.C.O.N.I.C, because I.C.O.N.I.C with Style is actually an affirmation that stands for I can overcome new issues and challenges with style. And that all goes back to her and her inspiring me and why I'm here talking to you two ladies today.
I love that so much. And it's so true. Like, I think we can all relate to the, like, when we're feeling our best and we like have our nails done or we're able to like have that little boost of confidence. So you often talk about the moment where you were like fresh out of college, you get your first big girl job, when you realized your closet didn't fit the woman you were becoming. So how did this moment change the way you looked at style from just like, oh, this is an outfit to this is a legitimate leadership tool?
Yeah, well, that moment was not only pivotal as a professional, it really did evolve my thinking around style. So before the big girl job, I was in situations where I was a team lead, where I managed people. And then when I got the big girl job, a couple years fresh out of college, it was the first environment where I had to manage people in a corporate office setting. And I managed people who were the same age as me. I was managing people older than me. And not to mention, I looked 16 years old. And so I knew that I was capable. I knew that I was prepared. And obviously my bosses knew it too, right? They hired me, but I felt this consistent tension really about what I knew internally and then also how it was being received. And when I took that step back and looked at my wardrobe, I had always been stylish. Your girl can put an outfit together, but that is exactly what my wardrobe looks like. It looks like individual stylish outfits instead of a cohesive, consistent message that communicated credibility. And so what was happening was I was dressing of the version of myself that could be your friend instead of the one that people wanted to follow. And when I went through that transformation, my presence changed, how I showed up changed, and of course, how I was perceived changed. And so again, that is why I really believe your wardrobe is really your hidden leadership strategy, and you can use it to your strategic advantage.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more. I always think back, like in college, I would always be the most like dressed up person, like in class. And whether I like had no money, had just broken up with a boyfriend, or I was like feeling like internally like crap, nobody really knew that because I've like showed up like I was put together. So people were always like, how are you put together? And I couldn't like associate why people thought that until I realized because oh, it's because I'm just like physically and like with my clothes and makeup, I just look put together. So I love that you talk about that because it really is the perception of how someone views you. And that does change how they like the opportunities that open up for you and kind of like like what they think of you, especially when it comes to leadership.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so most of us, and it's interesting, most of us wait for that, like the title or the promotion, or like physically feeling like we have arrived to this like new era that now they can, step into this new season for themselves. Why is it so important to kind of start feeling that future self before the world actually gives you permission to? I do like that you said like you dress for where you want to go. And so let's talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And first, let me start by saying I personally believe that I don't care what your title is, what your role is, how much experience you have, anybody can lead or have influence in whatever position they're in right now. That's the first thing. Now, going to the style piece of it, when you are already dressing like your future self, what you are doing is signaling to your colleagues, leadership, that you are ready for higher visibility and that you're ready for more responsibility. So don't wait for people, don't wait to try to get the promotion. You need to already show that so they can receive that signal that, yes, this person is ready to step into that new role. So don't wait for permission. I say stand in it boldly and show up with where you want to go.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because there's a specific concept called enclothed cognition, the idea that clothes were actually going to change your mental performance. So, can you talk about the science of why putting on specific items of clothing can act like a mental on switch for competence and focus? If you have like an anecdote too around like specifically for you, I know for me, it's like I
Yeah.
have like this blazer I wear. And I just every time I wear it, I feel like people are always like, "Wow, like you look so chic and so powerful." And like, and even like Marina and I will share like Pinterest boards of like, this is how we want to be dressing, as we go into some of these events and things that we're doing. But I'm curious to hear more about this enclothed cognition.
Absolutely. So the science behind it, I will definitely leave it to the psychologist, but there are a lot of studies on the internet that you can find talking about how what you wear does affect your performance. Where I see this show up real time in my work is exactly what you said, Jaclyn. I hear, a woman tell me she chooses red when she wants to feel more bold. She chooses the matching suit coat with the matching pant when she wants to feel more powerful. And when they put these items on, their presence, confidence, and posture changes. But I do want to be clear though. I'm not telling everybody go grab the red dress when you want to feel bold, go grab the matching pantsuit when you want to feel powerful, because honestly, there are no universal rules. What I am saying though is your performance is affected by what you decide to emphasize and what you decide to restrain. And that is all around intention. And so, what is the intention that you want to communicate? And then, when your image is aligned with that, that will ultimately affect how you show up in spaces.
Yeah. And do you feel like, and this is kind of a side note, but do you feel like people have struggled with that with remote working? Like, how can they implement that even though they're not going into a physical space?
I love that you bring this up. Yes, I was actually in a meeting environment a couple weeks ago talking to women who are looking for board seats virtually. And one of the women, she had raised in that meeting that her presence is very different from when she's in person versus when she is on the camera.
Yeah.
And so women do struggle with that. And what I say is you have to figure out how to still communicate your presence though you're on the screen. And again, it goes back to what are the intentional pieces that you're putting on. So let me give you an example going back to that red dress to feel bold. Well, some people, their accessories are part of their look. And one woman, since she was on virtual, nobody can see the full red, that you have on because you're usually neck up, pajamas on the bottom sometimes.
Yeah.
But her eyewear, she put red on as her eyewear to signal that. And so there are still ways to be able to communicate intention virtually. You just have to be, again, what are you emphasizing and what are you editing around it?
Yeah, I love that so much. And I love being able to implement it again, specifically virtually. We know a lot of the women that listen to our podcast, they think through like, okay, and we've heard that so many times, like my favorite thing is to get dressed up and go into, a coffee shop or whatever. But like, what if you're not doing that? How can you show up 110% for yourself and your calls on at home?
Well, what I will also add is how you show up at the coffee shop, show up like that at work. Like right now, I am dressed head to toe. I don't want to, mess up my lighting, but I'm dressed head to toe, even with the shoes. I don't have the house shoes on, depending on, I have on the heel. So I definitely say it your environment, it can change, your coffee shop, you're around people, you feel that energy, but still dress up. Even if it's at home, you will still feel that same energy.
I will say, Marina wakes up with a full face of makeup. There's a full beat. I joke because, like, when she stays at my house, I was like, I wake up. I mean, as the resident person who is not looking the best on this call, but literally, like, Marina will wake up at 7 a.m. and walk downstairs, full fit, full glam.
Can I
And it's amazing.
But Bria, that is like, to me, this is why I resonate so much with this episode. I would be like internally sometimes dying. Like I am, doing all of these things and I have all whatever. Like my brain might be like fried, but I feel better when I can just like put a little blush on, put my mascara on. But it is really funny always walking down from Jaclyn's house and being like, good morning.
It's great.
The glam is flawless. I tell you, I see the pictures. I'm like, this girl's glam is flawless.
She
Yes,
does it herself. It's crazy.
it is
Like,
amazing. I need some lessons.
yeah. Well, honestly, same. But it's interesting because it's like I think for me, just reflecting on this, like I think for so long, like I was so busy and bogged down in building the business that I never had time to care about it. And like
Mm,
specifically, there was this moment that I think you'll really appreciate was like I previously was always behind this, like I was doing all the production, all the management, and all that stuff. So I wasn't like on stage per se for Create and Cultivate unless it was like head to lunch or like, the bathrooms are like just more like,
right.
kind of giving direction. And there was an event we had where I had to hop on an interview and do something with Kristen Bell. And I just it was rough. I looked rough because I'd been like up all night producing whatever, didn't expect for this
Yeah,
to happen. And I remember my VP of marketing being like, hey, listen, like, I think for these events, like, let's build in a glam budget, like, for you. And it just, like, never crossed my mind. And it was funny at the time. I, like, thought it was, like, kind of a joke. But in retrospect, I'm like, no, she's right. Like, I'm representing the business. Like, if I'm going to be on stage and I want to feel good and confident, and I want also our audience to see me as a reflection of, like, what they want to be, like, I have to start investing in that. And it really changed the way I approached everything in that sense. Like when it came to these events and showing up, and I just think like with the Create and Cultivate community, these girls show up to the nines. Like they look incredible. Like I remember one of our events, this girl came, she was early, but she had like full glam, amazing outfit, and I was like, I just in my head was like, oh, she's talent. Like she must be here to speak. And then she was like, no, I'm like attending. And I remember thinking, wow, like I need to get my shit together, for lack of a better word. But I think it's like, I think for women like me, different than Marina, I think there is value in that. And I think it's just about like figuring out how to put in that time and effort.
absolutely. But also, I want to tell women like give yourself some grace as well too. When I think about being an entrepreneur, versus someone like in the C-suite, you are yes representing your brand, but you also have to wear a lot of different hats. And so when you are behind the scenes, Jaclyn, cutting film, being production, what you wear in that moment can be more relaxed and more authentic. It doesn't have to be dressed to the nines. And then when you switch to the stage, it's still going to be authentic for you, but now the context has changed. And so I think that is the one difference with being an entrepreneur. You have to be able to pivot your style where it is still a cohesive message, but depending on the context of the situation, it will change.
Yeah.
To- Totally agree. So you talk about micro signaling as the silent language of leadership. What
Mm.
are the subtle external signals like women often overlook, whether it's their image or their presence, that can often reinforce or honestly quietly undermine their authority?
Yes, I'll talk about two, although there are a lot. The first one, which I believe is so overlooked, is fit. Fit is so truly important because when something fits well, what it is communicating is that you understand nuance and attention to detail because our bodies are different proportions. The second thing, and I know I hit on this a little bit when I was talking about my big girl job, is having a cohesive look because the cohesive and the consistency in your look is what builds that credibility because people say, okay, I can trust her. She is showing up consistently with this statement. And sometimes when women hear that, they're like, oh, so do I need to wear the same thing every day? Absolutely not. Let me take me, for example. I love color, but majority of my wardrobe focuses on jewel tones. So I would probably say like 60% of them. So people know that is my look. And so again, it's a cohesion and a consistency that people can expect when they see me.
I love that. And also, it's so funny you say like the fit because my friend Fez, who does a ton of styling and like gifting and things like that, a couple years ago said to me, he was like, you don't need to keep buying more stuff. You need to get a good tailor. And I think like that was such an eye-opening thing. I'm 5'3". Like everything is big on me, long on me. Like it doesn't necessarily fit the way I want it to. And he was like, you have good pieces. You just don't wear them because like you like the heel's too high or this or it's not fitting correctly. And like those little minutia of like especially like these like classic pieces whether it's like black pants or a black blazer or a black dress or whatever like getting that to fit so well is so important. It was something again I just didn't think about investing in but made such a huge difference.
I mean, absolutely. I am 5 feet tall, so yes, 5 feet girl club. And I also have, I mean, you can't tell from here, but a girl got a butt. And so sometimes the clothes, they don't fit the right way. So I always have to get things tailored to fit my body for sure.
I will say too, the fit changes how like comfortable you show up. And I didn't realize this until like I'm in a very denim jean, big barrel jean era. But like I'm realizing I still need to get those tailored because they're just so massive on me. And I'm like, it's a bit excessive, but it's interesting because like when I show up, when I do have something that fits me, I'm not constantly pulling down on my dress. I'm not constantly fixing my shirt. I'm not like, I don't look insecure. I look that I'm just like put together and I'm focused on what I'm there to do.
Yes, exactly.
Tell me
1000%.
Tell me, like, before we talk through how, breaking through faking it until you making it, when you're working with someone, what are the like key things that you focus on with them first? Like, if someone's starting out with you, what do you like? What is the starting point just to understand that they're still kind of true to themselves and how they want to show up? I'm curious what your process is.
Absolutely. So the process I have two signature packages and it looks a little bit different, but the core to both of those packages are what are the goals, right? Are you trying to build more function or are you about to be in a season of visibility and what does that look like? So it all has to start with what is the either current identity or the woman you're involving to space. And I can't do anything if I do not have that
Yeah.
because that is part of styling is making my job is not to change a woman. My
Mhm.
job is to make sure that it is speaking exactly who she feels internally. And I have to start with these core questions first.
I love that. That's so amazing because I think a lot of times when we talk about like personal branding and how
Mm,
to show up, all of the stuff, all of a sudden they think they have to change who they are,
Hmm.
and it's like, no, no, we're just doubling down on like who you want people to perceive you as or how, like the best parts of you that get you really excited. So I love that.
And
yeah,
I also like the idea of evolving style to your point, Marina. Like you don't necessarily like need to change, but like you can change like your style. You can change it up completely. Like I think and also you can take risks. Like I love Marina last year you were like I'm gonna start wearing a tie. And like you just like doubled down on this, like I'm wearing a tie and I'm just doing it. And like it was and I loved it. I thought it was such like a bold, fun look. But I was like, yeah, like you're never too late to redefine your personal style. And I think that's important as well. Because I think also as you get older, things change, right? Like I used to wear a lot of cottagey, flowy dresses. I was in California, obviously. So that felt like more, again, it was like a flowy like dress was like my signature. And then now I'm 40, I live in New York City. Like that's not the vibe. And so I really had to like reassess like what I wanted to be wearing. And it's been like kind of this like new evolution of like, what is my 40 plus going to look like as I kind of evolve into the style where it's like, some of the more frilly, girly things don't translate when you're, at a certain age. So there's like career, but then there's also age, and there's like so many things that kind of go into it.
I mean, it's so nuanced, right? And to your point about evolve, like I know you said you're never too late to evolve. The reality is we know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like we are consistently growing, consistently changing. And like what served you early 20s doesn't serve you mid 30s, doesn't serve you 40s or even 70, right? And so it's never too late, but also it's inevitable that it's going to happen too.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we talk again, showing up even when you're not ready, but really diving into fake it until you make it. When that stops working, from your perspective, how does aligning a woman's like external image with what she already knows internally really help dissolve the imposter syndrome?
Yeah, it's so funny because I had actually just wrote an article on this, but let's go back to like my big girl job that I was talking about, right? I was capable, I was prepared, but then I was also like, people are perceiving me because I look 16 years old. Like I was going through these emotions. Um, and when obviously I transformed my wardrobe, that changed. So style is the visible evidence of what you're already telling yourself internally, right? When you make a conscious effort to show up and dress like the woman you're becoming, you shift from, am I qualified? Am I ready? To, I'm a woman on a mission and I'm about to kill it. And that confidence can not be replaced by any title, salary, because especially, and I know you two can relate to this, when you're an entrepreneur, sometimes you're not going to see a dollar for months. And so when you are consistently showing up where you're headed, that is what allows you to get the confidence to keep going and believe what the affirmations you're telling yourself, the vision board that you're looking at, because you have that physical evidence on your body.
I love evidence. Like my brain works on data and proof. And so I love that you said evidence because it is something that you like, again, very tangible, that really helps you show up just physically, just as you are, and then step into that next season. I love that.
Yes, absolutely.
For the women in industries that have, maybe more stricter expectations on how they show up, how do you help them express their evolving identity without feeling like they're breaking professional code? Because I hear it all the time. Like, I know that whether it's like my cousin who's a doctor or my other cousin who's a VP at Amazon, like she's like, she can't wear these like baggy barrel jeans that have become a staple in my style, but she still wants to show up. But they definitely struggle to evolve. So how do you help them?
Well, when I hear stricter, I really believe that it's more than just industry. I think it's also about context. The reality is there is an unspoken dress code no matter what the room is. Let it be the boardroom, let it be a startup, let it be a creative space. Shoot, even our girls' trips, there is an unspoken dress code. And so, what I help women do is read the room without erasing who they are. So, it's not about breaking the professional code or trying to work against it. It's about working strategically within what the code is. And what that can look like is signaling kind of one piece at a time and putting that into practice instead of focusing on flair. And I love a little bit of flair, focus on fit. Instead of focusing on personality, focus on presence. Because style, I think there's two sides to the coin. Part of it is definitely self-expression because it has to be authentic to you, period. The other side of that is, what is the respect that you want to command in the environment that you're in? And I help women realize that those things do not have to be at conflict with each other.
I love that so much. And I think like this new era of confidence, I think, is just so important for women as we're like growing in our careers and getting more powerful, positions within the workforce and really commanding that. So if our listeners only remember one principle about their presence this year, what is the declaration you want them to make?
So, if there is one principle that I want women to walk away with in this conversation is the woman you are becoming has a look. Stop dressing like the one who was surviving. The declaration here is embodiment. And every time you enter into a space, enter into a room, your image is speaking for you before you even open your mouth. And I truly do believe that women deserve for their image to communicate who they're becoming and not necessarily who they had to be to get there. And so that is the declaration that I want them to walk away with.
I love that. And I think it's also about like just carving out that 10 to 15 minutes. It's like kind of like putting your outfit out before your school day. But like I feel like when I carve out that time, my whole attitude, everything changes about the day. So I do love that. So we're gonna do some rapid fire. Marina, you can kick it off.
Okay, perfect. So really fast, one color that instantly makes you feel powerful.
Blue, royal blue specifically.
Ooh,
Just give a little, can I give some more context? Because I got
yes.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So I am part of Zeta Phi Beta sorority. We will be celebrating our Founders Day later this week. And one of our principles is finer womanhood, and our colors are royal blue and white. And so that is why that is one of the colors that makes me feel powerful.
I love that. Jaclyn just came back from Morocco. Were you just going to say that?
Yeah.
Tell her, yeah.
I was like, I just got back from Morocco and they have this Majorelle blue color. And I just think it's so stunning. And I'm sure it's very close to royal blue. But I do think that color is so beautiful. Like in interiors, in clothing, and like all the accessories. Like I want blue glasses. Like this is what I want to be doing. So I love that so much. Okay. A piece in your closet that feels like CEO energy.
Always a hill. I am a hill girl. Those are just my statement. I've always been a shoe girl. And when I walk in them, there's something different about my posture. There's something different about, business. And so always the shoes for me.
Love. Okay. Biggest style mistakes you see high achieving women make.
It really does go back to fit. Again, not thinking about that or thinking about that as an afterthought, because when you are worried about fit, and Marina, you hit on it a little bit, right? Instead of worrying about how you lead, right? If the outfit is too big, if it's too small, now you're managing your body versus worrying about the context and the decisions that you need to make in the room. So I really do. Fit is very, very important.
So good. Bria, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. If we took one thing away today, I would say it's your image is not decoration, it's a declaration. Dress for who you're becoming, and the influence you want to carry in the world will inevitably follow. Ladies, if you find yourself nodding along, whether in a season of reinvention, growth, or elevation, Bria wants to support you. Send her a DM on Instagram at I.C.O.N.I.C With Style with the word elevate, and she'll share your next steps personally. That's Elevate on Instagram at I.C.O.N.I.C With Style. Give her a follow, DM her. And thank you so much for listening to Work Party. You deserve to show up fully evolved version of yourself, not who you used to be. Thank you so much, Bria.
Thank you too. It was such a great time. Thank you everybody for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Work Party. If you like what you heard, follow, leave a review, rate the pod, or slide into our DMs.
Check out the different ways you can create and cultivate on our website, createcultivate.com. From retreats and masterminds to our summits and festival.
We have different experiences to support you through your entrepreneurial journey from launch
to legacy.
Follow us at Create Cultivate on all platforms, and don't forget, work hard.
Party on.
Please note that this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products and services. Individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in this episode.